Stu, thank you so much for joining us today for the CG Radio podcast.
Thank you very much.
So you work with a lot of high-profile acts. How did that come to be, and what does that role look like for you?
So, little bit of background on myself. I've started, my D&B career back in, '98. Been a DJ since '99. And been heavily involved in the United States drum and bass scene for over just about 22 years now. I got hooked up with Scott. I was doing this, in the back end anyway, knowing so many people, putting shows together through friends of mine, different states, basically doing what an agent does anyway. And I was approached by Scott at Cybergroove, and, he offered me a position. And I said, okay, let's explore this and see what happens. And, really from the knowledge I had of, the American drum bass scene and how it works, and even Canada, it really blossomed quickly. And over the course of the first year, it really blew up. There's a lot of learning curves and stuff that I had to go through, but now I'm going on my 6th year with Scott here at Cybergroove. And I manage, some of the biggest names in drum and bass in the world, or for the United States. It's been an interesting road. Some of the guys, like the Prototypes, Dillinger. Who else we got? State of Mind, Teddy Killers. We have some big names. Aphrodite. It's been really interesting because these guys are who I used to listen to 25 years ago. These guys were my idols, and now they're friends. And it's pretty amazing how it's evolved itself into what it is today. And the world that we've created is really amazing, and the guys that I have under my umbrella are top notch. And it's a great little marry here between everything. So
Well, it sounds like you worked yourself up to where you are today, and because you are so heavily involved in the industry, you get so much more perspective. What do you feel, in your opinion, it takes to get on a talented roster like this? Maybe you can tell us a bit about some of the new additions, maybe an example of what they did to secure a spot.
So I'm not going to sugarcoat this at all, and I'm going to be straight up about this. I want to cut this down the middle. There's the United States stateside drum and bass scene, which is blossoming with new acts. Flight. My good homie Darren Spiralis just had a track, remixed by Razor. He's on Ram. I know Miss Speed has some interesting stuff coming out here very soon with a big profile label as well. A lot of things are moving. I'm noticing a lot of these UK acts are really starting to focus on a lot of the United States drum and bass people. But I'm going to tell you from a personal perspective that it's extremely hard to be a United States drum and bass producer and be on a talent roster and get demand. There's only a few people out there that really care and have the money and the ability to book stateside acts, because the thing I hear mostly is the demand, and I'm scared I'm not going to make my money back, which is a viable, it's understandable, but it's really an extra push for, I have a lot of people come to me and like, hey, what does it take to be on the roster? I'm like, well, for a United States act, you really need to be having 6 high-profile paid gigs a month, or a little bit less. It's just there needs to be something going, because it's really not worth it to bring on a new act and, have them sit. That's the worst thing that can happen, is you come on a roster, you have that profile up there, but you just don't do anything with it. The UK guys are a little bit different, but they're a little bit in the same. There's acts out there that, have just a demand, and they sell themselves, a la Dillinger, or, Aphrodite. There's some that are newer but they have that drive behind them. So the A.M.Cs, the Turnos, those guys are a little bit fresher names to America. And A.M.C's about to, do his debut United States tour here in October. You have to have the demand, or you have to have the ability to grow your brand, and understand what it takes. There's guys out there that have worked really closely with me, and it's worked really well. Jade, for example, CEO of Eat Brains. We started 5 years ago pushing the neurofunk sound. I'm a neuro guy, techie guy, harder edge, drum and bass. So obviously I gravitate towards them. We've really put it out there, and done a lot of pushing in smaller clubs, and just getting the demand for Eat Brain in the United States of America to be what it is today. And there's a lot of stuff in store for 2020 for those guys. So it's going to be really, really good. And, Mob Tactics, when they first came out here, Luke lives up in Seattle. It's, if they have the drive and the passion to push and build their brand out in the United States, they're going to be successful. But it's a hard climb, unless you're Dillinger, Calix and TB, Cameron Crooked, you know what I mean? So it's not easy. It's not easy. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, I can appreciate that honesty, because it kind of reminds artists that you not only have to be driven, but consistent. And what you're talking about here is, building that brand and creating that demand, but also, like, a lot of these artists also have consistent releases on big labels. Like, they are in the studio when they're not touring. They're really pushing it.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Because if you let your stuff just, it's like, okay, I released an album this year. What do you got for me?
Yeah.
It's like, the agent can only do so much for you. You have to present the agent with, this is what I have, help me. But, a lot of those guys get it. And really, the rat race that is the releasing of music nowadays, I'm sure, the people who are involved see it. You could release a #1 album one week, and then it'll drop down to 50 and it's forgotten the next week. So it's a continuous push, headache, struggle, frustration, just to stay up on top of your game. And it's not a lot of people understand the back ends of all this stuff. And all they see is, big DJ coming to the States and we're going to play a show. It's like, there's so much that led up to that moment that a lot of people don't understand. And it's, the frustration from a lot of artists, I've felt and have talked to about, and it's a rat race to keep your stuff up and running.
Well, let's dive even deeper into that. If an artist isn't yet ready for your level of agency, what can they do to improve their chances for future consideration? And how can they keep you informed on their project progress without, bombarding you all the time?
Well, they, a lot of the guys that I have my eye on personally over there, I form a relationship with. I talk to them over Facebook. We get on WhatsApp. We talk. A lot of them hit me up directly, and they ask me the same question. And I say, just build your profile and your brand. And, it comes down to also the small money factor of United States visas are not cheap. You're talking, if you get all your paperwork done in time, you're about $3,200 to $3,500. And that's for a solo act is 3 years. For a group, it's a year. So your time frame is pretty rough. So it comes down to the money, comes down to the willingness of the artist. I tell them, if you're willing to come over here and bust your ass and take smaller gigs to build your brand, so next year we can go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and work up to the bigger shows, that's the kind of guys I'm looking for. That's the kind of guys I want to work with. I have a good team under me right now, and I'm feeling really good about it. So that's really what I would like to let them know. It's, if you have interest, hit me up, contact me. We'll talk. We'll structure out a plan, and we'll see where we can take it and where we can go. And I'm open to everybody. Any questions, whatever, just hit me up.
Yeah, I love that. And I appreciate that so much, because sometimes people can feel like, I need some guidance and where am I going to get it? So that's so wonderful that you're offering that. When it comes to artist tours, what are you doing on the back end to make that happen?
There's hundreds of emails that cross. A lot, it depends on the situation. I talk to, people on Facebook. It's good to have a good working relationship. Most of the people that I deal with nowadays, I mean, a good 50% of them are new people that I've, have just started dealing with over the last few years. But a good portion of those people are people that I've dealt with for, 15, 20 years prior to being an agent. Respect LA, Rob, Will over BP Squared up in New York, Denver crew, I've dealt with all these people. So it's good to have a already working relationship with them. So it makes things really easy when you can just, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, I got so-and-so coming through. You want to pick up? Yeah, let's do it. Boom, boom, boom. We're done. And then there's those ones that are like an email thread of 50 to 100 emails deep, and it's just a consistent battle and fight, and it takes all shapes. But it's really my job to have the artist's best interest in heart, be it what gigs they play, how much money they make, does it make sense? And and sometimes there's things that I have to do that we have to pull a tour. Like recently there was I forget what month it was. It was a couple months back, but I had Current Value getting ready to come out here, and we lost 3 dates on a 5-date tour, and it just imploded. And the last thing I want to do is pull an American tour from somebody, because that is taking money out of their pocket when they block off dates in the UK when they could be making money over there, and we take that and stop, and the tour goes away. It's a real big deal, and it's hard, but that's some of the stuff that you run into, coming in this world. But it is what it is. But for the most part, it's just pushing in the back end, having good relationships and good network, and things move pretty smoothly. And like I said, going into my 6th year now, I have great handle on a bunch of people, and it's really pretty smooth for the most part.
Yeah, and I totally appreciate that you mentioned like sometimes that pullback of tour, because yeah, you can miss out on money if you're in another country and you can't lay out those dates.
Mhm.
Yeah, crucial. I appreciate that you talk about that side of it. Um, on the tour side, and to end this interview off, would love to talk about some upcoming tours happening across North America that you think people should know about. And I know there's a D&B Tuesday in Seattle we should probably chat on.
I would be happy to touch on that. So right now we have for October, being I think it's tomorrow, October 1st. Got a pretty full month coming around. I have Dillinger around from, I believe, October 4th. He is in Houston starting this weekend, and he doesn't end until the 20th. I want to say he has like 16 or 17 dates, just huge tour. Then we also have A.M.C's first debut solo American tour happening. He's hitting a few spots. We also have the Prototypes, who are going to be hitting, playing Escape in California, and one other place the next day. I'm not allowed to say it. But we also have Teddy Killers at the end of the month. They haven't been out here for a couple years, so it's going to be their first in a while. Right after that, there's Chrissy Chris and Turno coming around. Scientific in December. I mean, it never stops. It's always a rotating door. It's always what you got, what you moving. But October and November are pretty stacked. And then things kind of fizzle out for the winter time, and then all hell breaks loose again for the summertime. So yeah, those are the tours I got coming up. As you know, I reside up here in Seattle, Washington. We have the longest consecutive weekly drum and bass night in the country running at D&B Tuesdays, Seattle. November 19th. We are celebrating 21 years every single Tuesday. No breaks. I want to give a shout out to the man, Kelly Demo. He has been running this thing forever. We have an amazing team out here in Seattle. Quadrant Iris, Homemade Weapons, me, Spiralis, Chris Cease. There's just an amazing pool of talent out here, and just the weekly just the weekly lineups that we have there. You know, we have some of the brightest stars coming up and running, and it's just like Respect LA. You know, we have two of the biggest nights in the country here on the West Coast, and D&B Tuesdays is home, and we have actually A.M.C coming here October 22nd, and with Mob Tactics and Dino, so it's free. So if anybody wants to fly in, it's free. Just come on out, come chill with us. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be a good night. But yeah, that's pretty much what we got going up here in Seattle.
Good. Well, we'll make sure to link people up with that so they can check it out. Stu, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.